This is Alok Kumbhat, who is the head of operations at Dun Bradstreet, which is a data analytics company. And so, Alok, can you tell us the skills involved in data and analytics?
Hey, on. Good evening. I think it's a pleasure to be on this particular platform, and I'm pretty excited to see the kind of work that you have been doing. I've gone through a few videos as well, and it's really amazing to see such a young lad talking to such veteran people across industries, and I've been very impressed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Coming to your question around the kind of skills involved in working on data analytics. Uh, I have been a chartered accountant and a company secretary, and I've done my MBA. So one of the things that you talk about data analytics, you need to be good with numbers. I have always been good with that. You know, uh, since I have been in my school, I was very good at mathematics. I believe that that particular experience and that skill set of mine actually helped me in terms of getting into this particular role. uh, and the moment you get to know about the curiosity which is there around numbers, what you start doing is that you then start looking out for uh, what's the analytics or analysis behind those numbers, because at the end of the day, if you just see the numbers, but the real story lies behind those numbers. So you need to have that analytical kind of mindset as well. And uh, it's also important that when you talk about data, what's the kind of source of data that you're trying to analyze? So let me give you a couple of examples. One, it could be that people who are actually into equity trading would actually want to know how the share pricing actually moves. And when you talk about share pricing movement, there is a story behind why the movements actually happen. It could be because of the fundamentals of the company. It could be because of the profitability of the company. It could be because of the management, their experience. It could be on account of the industry. So there are various attributes which are actually associated, and those attributes actually talks about data. So you need to have a good fundamental understanding around what data is, which is a basic skill set that would be required. And as I said earlier, a lot of it is to do with understanding the story behind what those numbers are. So you need to be having a good analytical mindset as well to to draw stories from those numbers. And uh, and if you talk about in today's world, when I completed my CA, we from a technology point of view, uh, there were certain tools, but today when you talk about, there are various tools which are available. You have got Python, then you have got the visualizations tools like Tableau, Power BI. Now those things are very, very, one, if somebody carries that level of interest in terms of working on those kind of tools, that's going to be a significant asset. In fact, I was speaking to a few of my cousins. In fact, I wouldn't say my cousins' kids, and they were actually talking to me about how important or critical it is to work on Python kind of applications or tool which is there. Uh, Today, when I am hiring anybody within my organization, I actually look for people who carry those skill sets, because when you talk about data, it is too huge and it is humongous information which is available. So how do you try and bring that and start analyzing it? You can't do it in the form of Excel sheet or Access, the traditional way of doing it. But these kind of tools actually will make significant, strides in terms of one, trying to solve or analyze it at a quicker pace, and then you can tweak around in those particular tools and applications to drive the final objective that you would want to drive through those particular data assets which are there.
So that's great to hear. And so, can you tell us how has technology evolved and how is it changing or how has it changed the scene in data analytics?
Uh, so I actually have been with Dun Bradstreet since the last 16 years. In fact, it's been my first job. And our organization has been like 175-year-old, in this particular industry. It started in the US though. And what I have heard, and there are various books and publications which are there about our organization, four past presidents of the US working for DNB, so on and so forth. So initially, when uh, the information gathering used to happen, I remember that when the organization actually started, about 175 year back, people used to go and travel on horses to go and meet people and try to extract information by just talking to them. How is your business doing? And just seeing whether the company is in existence at that particular location. And everything used to be in the form of paper, writing in the form of notes, and then information used to come back into the company. And when you talk about that particular individual who wanted information on the business, they used to actually speak to the person, one-on-one basis in a small cubicle. And they used to actually be speak very softly in terms of transmitting the information. Now it was like a human to human connect in terms of information getting transmitted. Now when you fast forward it now in today's world, this is not the way information actually one gets transmitted, given the fact that during those days it would take about a month to gather information and deliver it to the customer. In today's scenario, customer is actually looking at information as of yesterday. He wants it at the click of a button. He wants the solutions at the click of a button. So it's like technology now is the center of anything or everything that you do. Be it in terms of the products that you are trying to manufacture, or if you talk about the services industries that we are responsible, or where we are actually dependent on. So my experience around Dun and Bradstreet has been that I have seen various companies who have come up with brilliant platforms, uh, you know, uh, but where the struggle actually is around the data. Data becomes so significant, and if you try to marry data with the technology or the platforms which are there, that's how then magic happens. And I today, if I talk about all the data that we have, we are disseminating everything to the customers in the form of online platforms. And now there is all the more need for customers to have information in the form of API. you know API is basically like, I have the information in my database, and as and when information gets updated, the customer expects the information to flow to his CRM instantly, so that his systems are updated, and he gets to know that for a particular entity this is the decision that he needs to take. So everything is available to the customer, and he's actually looking for information on his handset or in his laptop. So it has actually changed the way the world is looking at it, and that's what we have seen in our part of the world as well. And the way we look at over the next few years, machine learning is going to play a significant role, especially sentiment analysis. Let me give you a simple example around sentiment analysis. uh, you talk about, you read newspapers, right? You read news, right? Now, how do you segregate information of news? Now, it's very easy, right? You can actually segregate information as political news, economical news, startup news, so on and so forth. There is another layer which talks about positive news and negative news, which is actually called a sentiment analysis. Now, that's something which we believe is going to add a lot of value, because customers or people, depending on the use case which are there, depending upon what kind of the use case it is, they are very, very keen to know around information is a positive information or negative information which is there. So sentiment driven kind of aspects is going to be very, very critical. And I'm sure you would have heard from a lot of people that AI, machine learning, automation is actually going to drive the future in this part of the industry as well. And our industry is also not something which is not impacted. We are also big time impacted through these kind of technology evaluation that we have seen.
So Alok, that's great to hear. And thank you, Alok. Thank you so much for your time. It was great having you here.
Likewise, Johan, and good luck.